my kako, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy Friday Eve. Woohoo! It's almost the
Woo!
end of the week. Yeah, yeah. Welcome to another episode of the LaWana Nui podcast. It looks like we are now up to episode 79, which is still pretty amazing.
Yes.
Every time we keep going up, I'm like, wow, we've been doing this for quite a while now. Uh, but I am happy to be here tonight with you all once again. My name is Moana, and I'm the founder and host of the Moana Nui podcast, author of the Adventures of Nakoa and Nohea children's book series, editor and publisher here at Burning Spear Comics for the Wild Card Chronicles, and champion of our independent community. Tonight, as always, I am joined by my wonderful co host, Dana. We're glad to have her back after a brief respite yesterday. She's been working so hard for this community, and a girl just needed a break. So,
Yes.
without further ado, let me welcome her back. Yay, Dana!
Everyone. For those that may or may not know me, I am Dana. I am a cosplay event con staff photographer. You probably see my photographs with HomoCon, Anime Week in Atlanta, Dragon Con, and DC Comics. I'm also an event planner, a voice actor, and a whole lot more. But this podcast wouldn't be complete without the founder of this podcast, the champion of indie creators, the like as I've said many times before, she is all trades. She is the woman of all things, the lovely, the Moana. Can I hear anything?
Test, 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 test. Why can't I hear anything? Okay, I completely lost audio.
Oh my gosh, was I just muted the entire time? The internet gremlins are strong. My self is, I don't know. Dana, I don't think it was you. I think my I think it was my volume. Oh my gosh, I had myself muted. Um so let us I am going to try again and introduce LaWana again properly this time. Bear with us, guys. We are not perfect over here. We are human beings just trying to make it through these interwebs. Alrighty, let's try again. Dr. LaWana Richmond could be referred to as a Black female Da Vinci or modern day Hatshepsut. LaWana practices what she preaches in terms of professional education and development, having earned a joint doctorate in educational leadership from University of California, San Diego, DSU San Marcos. At UC San Diego, she serves as the Organizational Development Manager for Transportation Services, where she creates frameworks, systems, and tools to support education, engagement, learning, and innovation. LaWana has been an active volunteer and leader on campus, most notably as a chair of the UC San Diego Staff Association and as the staff advisor to the University of California Regents. Um, there's a saying from the Ubuntu people: I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. This resonates with her spirit and how she moves in the world. So, without further ado, and hopefully without any more technical difficulties, let me bring Dr. LaWana to the show. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Well, I just got my dream car, so I'm very happy.
Yes. Yes, congratulations on that. I'm glad you got that all situated. It's been an interesting show already, guys. Lots of
Yeah.
moving pieces trying to get us to this place here. And it looks like Dana might still be having some technical difficulties, but we will push on until she gets herself situated. So, as Dana and I like to start all of our shows, let's start with the Pico or the origin story. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and one fun fact about your hometown.
Okay, so a little bit about myself. I am, the bio might sound kind of a little grandiose, but I am a person who, when I'm curious about something, I go learn about it. I'm driven by my curiosity. I was in a math and science club. I had to do a speech at the sports arena many years ago, so I took a drama class. So I can be a little dramatic sometimes. Academically, my background is in business, technology, and educational leadership with a focus on social justice. And I just follow my passions. I'm lucky enough that I do work that I went to school. So the stuff I learned, I get to use all the time. And I figured out how to use all of it for the betterment of my community. Fun fact about San Diego is you can do almost anything here. You can ski, you can go to the desert, you can go to the beach, you can go to the lake, you can go to the forest, you can go to the mountains. And we've got, the population isn't as diverse as we might want it to. It might be in some other places, but we've got people from all over the world here. And it's always interesting. It's never boring.
Yes, and you have great weather.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Yes.
And we try to stay classy.
That's right. Oh. Welcome back, Dina.
Thank you. I was having a little technical difficulties.
It is all good.
Today was my day for technical difficulties. Now, LaWana, on your website, you highlight an Ubuntu quote, I am because we are, and because we all are, therefore I am. What
Right.
does that mean to you, and how do you apply this to your work?
I apply it to my life actually, but what it really means is that everything is connected and that you know, I'm only able to do the things that I do because I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors and sat at the feet of my elders, and have a responsibility to my children and their children and their children and their children's children to be mindful about the way that I live and conduct myself.
Gotcha. I love that. We have several guests who all, all resonate with that, the connection to the ancestors and standing upon the work that they have, the groundwork that they've laid before us, and our responsibility to carry that forward. So we love that. Now, one thing that we noticed as we were doing our research was that you came out of the foster care system, and there's people who have conceived notion about children and out of foster care. Can you tell us about your own experiences and that you become who you are along with your in education?
So, that's a pretty, I wasn't expecting you to go down that road, but well, since we're there, I will say that I had an extremely challenging childhood, and I experienced group homes, foster care. I'm a survivor of human sex trafficking. I was a teen mom. I had my daughter when I was 16. And I would say, you know, I am not grateful for those experiences. They were traumatic, but I'm grateful for the lessons that I learned. And I believe that part of my purpose in life is to show people that no matter what terrible things you experience in life, you can still continue to move forward, and you can still even make a difference, not only for yourself, but for other people as well.
Yes. Thank you for answering that. I'm sorry if that came out of left field, but I wanted
It's
to
all
ask
good.
that question because, like, when I saw that, and I was like, wow, and look at all the things LaWana has done, and that's really why I wanted to ask that question, because I really wanted people to see that, despite the circumstances and the challenges, of course, they were traumatic. I'm absolutely sex trafficking. What? That's absolutely whoa!
Yeah.
I didn't expect to get that deep this fast. But like I feel like but I feel like
we lost her.
that's such a she'll come back, I'm sure. The Gremlin guys, maybe on the
Yeah.
subject. I don't know.
StreamYard is not being friendly today.
I really appreciate LaWana's rolling question. I know it's a tough one. Thinking of it now, I'm like bad with that. But people to see like how regular circumstances we have with those shouldn't keep us from striving and continue doing the best we can with what we got.
Exactly.
And finding others to help us, along the way. It is a lifelong journey. Me, an improvement on what we can contribute is a lifelong journey.
Yes.
We're always learning. Hey, Jabbar.
Hello, Jabbar. Hello, everyone, for joining us. Hopefully, we'll have her back shortly. But we're definitely very excited for you all to learn more about LaWana and all the things she's doing within the community and everything. So we're definitely excited about that. We definitely have a very action-packed, impact-filled this evening with two very major guests. So definitely stay tuned in for our 8:30 p.m. Eastern guests. If you are a fan of Power Rangers, you would know this lovely lady, Miss Nakia Bursey. She is the Yellow Power Ranger. As if you watched the show, you know Aisha, the Yellow Power Ranger, passed her powers on to Tanya, which is Nakia's character in Power Rangers. So we will get to meet and get to know Nakia at 8:30 p.m. Eastern today. So definitely tune in later on this afternoon in roughly about an hour. So you get to hear from her and learn about all the things that she's doing.
Yes.
And
I hope her phone didn't die.
I same. Or hopefully StreamYard's not giving her time like what's giving me.
Oh my gosh.
But
Let's go. We have to reschedule for the third time.
but for everyone who is watching, while we're waiting for her to continue the conversation, so you're not just watching me and Moana, we definitely are very excited. So many of the people who backed our Kickstarter that we had this year have received their packages. Even we love the fact that one of our faithful listeners did a little TikTok video that they shared, and we definitely shared it on social media of their goodies that they received, not only from the Kickstarter, but being a listener of the show and actually engaging in the comments what you can get from the Moana Nui podcast as part of our little our prize packs that we give away. So for those that missed out, we had great options like for those that are out and about, a lot of people are traveling, starting to go back to cons. We had a power pack. Now, a lot of people are familiar with power packs, but these, I literally say this is like the queen level of power packs. There she is. LaWana is back. Yay.
Oh my God. What else is going to happen?
Yes, I was telling Dana, like, oh my God, I hope we didn't offend her. She's like, screw these people.
No, I just think the universe realizes that this is an important conversation. And so, you know how that works.
Yes.
When people start talking about real things.
Yeah.
Like if we were talking about Zuzus and Wham Whams, there would have been no sound, no other technical difficulties at all.
So
yes.
True. Oh man.
Definitely.
Yeah, even
well,
my
of course,
to do this.
There you go. And it was important for you to be able to be on here, and definitely for so many people to get introduced to you. So we're so glad that you are part of the show, and we got you back.
Okay.
Now, of course, you are an activist in your community. What have been the most rewarding projects you have ever worked on, and why?
Ever, huh? That's deep. So there was a project that I did with so one of the things that, ways that I've been blessed in life is that people that I look up to, eventually, like, I graduate to being a colleague with them. And so in this case, there are 3 women who I love and respect, who were, each one of them was a professor or a counselor in education that I had encountered. They were in the community college district, and they invited me to join them in creating a project called I Am My Sister. And what we did is we created like this, it started off as like a retreat where we did poetry and workshops to introduce young women to themselves. And it resonated in such a organic and spiritual way that it grew into a series of field trips and experiences where we poured more into these young women. And there's so many ways that people take from young women and tear them down, and to be able to build young women up is a passion of mine. So that's one. That's going back years. I was an undergrad when that happened. Currently, and for the last several years, I've served on the board of Detour, which is a nonprofit that focuses on academic, employment, and just personal social development of teen girls. And with that, we started with this thing called the Fancy Expo. Fancy stands for Focused and Naturally Confident Youth. And the whole idea is that if we can help young women when they're in those teen years, those awkward, most challenging, most vulnerable, most insecure years, to like get through that and see how they can thrive and connect them to a vision of who they can be and pathways to get there. We are not just helping that young woman, we're helping a whole family, because we must never forget that the mother is the first teacher.
Yes.
And then most recently, I'm on another board for a group called the EdFu Foundation, which focuses on issues of indigenous and primarily African people of African descent throughout the world. And the United Nations has a permanent forum for the issues of indigenous people. And 5 years ago, they declared this the decade for people of African descent. And the work began to establish a permanent forum for people of African descent. 5 years later, they were still not able to get agreement on how that forum would be composed, where it would be positioned in terms of what it had access to from resources and who it reported up to, who it had a voice with. And so there was a lot of pushback. I think people are afraid of reparations. And me and some other colleagues at EDFU Foundation joined the working group. And 2 weeks ago, the General Assembly voted to establish the permanent forum for people of African descent. And they did it in the way that we have been pushing for it to be done. So that was like huge.
Wow.
And then, my passion project, Afrofuturism Lounge, which is now AfroCon, which I hope we'll get a chance to really dig into, because LaWana, that's where I met you, at the first Afrofuturism Lounge.
Yes, the inaugural event. I do remember it, absolutely. Yep, we're going to talk about that in not the next question, but right after that. Okay. So, as a mentor for young adults and the work that you do with these young ladies, what is one of the biggest obstacles preventing young leaders from achieving their educational goals and aspirations?
I think it's a variety of things. Probably the biggest one is the colonization of education systems. Mm-hmm. And I say that because if we could find a way to decolonize the curriculum and the systems and the processes, more kids would have a fighting chance, would have the opportunity to learn and engage not only with information about one specific demographic group, but about all the different types of people they have to work with. Yes. And so having this, growing up with this feeling of being othered, because if the content that you are fed from kindergarten until whenever you decide you're done getting educated centers a certain group, then you're other. And if you're othered, you always have this feeling of being an imposter or not being welcome, or, and in some cases actually not being welcomed, because there's a framework that says if you're not normal, then you don't really belong here. And so I think if we can decolonize the curriculum and have people understand that normal describes so many different people, and maybe, why don't we just throw the word normal out of the dictionary, because it is actually a very subjective term, and all it does is create division between people who see things or experience things differently.
Exactly. It's beautiful that you brought that up, and a lot of people don't realize the impact that colonization has had on so many communities, especially indigenous and the BIPOC communities. Now, you mentioned earlier about Afrofuturism Lounge, which you started off first. What inspired you to create Afrofuturism Lounge, and what were some of the goals you wanted to achieve when you launched the event for the first time?
So I'll start by saying the first event was not a solo effort. I had, it was me and some brothers who wanted to, it started off, we just wanted to have a party. We wanted to bring content creators together who were, because, when you're at Comic-Con, everything is spread out. So all of the Black creators are in different little corners or sections of the convention center. So they don't even get to see each other, even though they've been in the same room all day. And so we thought having an after party would be nice. That's why we called it the Afrofuturism Lounge. And then one day as we were doing our planning, somebody said, you know, we really should open this up to the public because we're going to have some great people here. And so we did. And I remember 2 days before the event, checking the Eventbrite data and like going into full panic mode because 700 people had registered. And you were there, LaWana. That is a very small space. We couldn't
Yes, and it was hot.
It was tight and hot.
It was tight and hot, and we had to
But
climb
nobody
up
wanted to
like
leave.
the stair. Yeah, no, yeah, it was great. It was just like getting up there. I don't think we didn't find the elevator, so like we were lugging our stuff up the stairs, and I think it was like to the 3rd floor or something. I was like, okay, this girl is out of shape, and by the time I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going anywhere now.
So, I mean, the thing is, we thought it would be fun, and it became a thing. I mean, we had people from the Sci-Fi Network, from Marvel, from DC, from San Diego Comic-Con's board. The founder of San Diego Comic-Con came, and people who produce other cons showed up. And you know, even though we kind of stumbled into it, it was a great thing. And you know, we weren't sure if it was a fluke because Black Panther had come out that year. And so the second year, I was like, I don't know. And a lot of the people that were able to help the first year were busy working on other projects. And so I had to figure a lot of things out. And the second year was, I think, you were there the second year too.
Yep.
And we had another great turnout. We were in a bigger space, the New School of Architecture and Design. The president of the school saw the vision and gave me free reign. They actually integrated Afrofuturism into the curriculum at the school.
Oh, very
That's
nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
There was an exhibit. We called it it was the layer. It was the layer of heroes and villains. And the students' assignment was, because it's an architecture school, to create a scale version of a layer. So they had to select a hero or anti-hero or a villain, and then create the story for that character, and then physically build that character's layer and make it designed specifically to meet that, to match that character's superpowers and vulnerabilities and predilections. And it was fascinating.
That's so cool. I would, I would love to see that. That sounds awesome.
Well, I have some photos. I'll tag you so you can see them. But it was
okay, cool.
Yeah, they created little. I still have like a stack of cards from the characters that they created.
Wow.
It was like trading cards for their characters. It was awesome.
Nice.
So was it just a design of the layer, or did they actually create like a physical manifestation of it?
They built the layers.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And last year, everybody was stuck at home, but I still did like a virtual event. And I wasn't sure how sticky it was going to be because everybody was zoomed out by August, right? And I had like about 30 people who sat through like 4 hours of content.
Wow.
Very nice.
And so this year will be hybrid.
Yes, because that's you're doing it. Is it Labor Weekend?
Huh?
Is it Labor Weekend this year's
Yes,
event?
Labor Day weekend, and that Saturday and Sunday. On site, I'm going to have like a 360 photo booth for people who want to get their photos taken, particularly people who dress up. We have cash prizes for cosplayers. And this year I had a couple of sponsors that helped me to be able to do things that I couldn't do before when I was just digging in my pocket.
Yes, which is not easy at the start for sure.
No, it's not.
Yeah. And interestingly, I anticipate that there will be even more sponsors next year because one, hopefully we will have figured out this variant game, and two, people who didn't know will have a better understanding because I've got some really good media partners this year.
Nice. Nice. So who are some of your partners? Can you say?
So the EdFood Foundation was able to write a grant to be able to do some sponsorship. And the San Diego Urban Sustainability Coalition is a sponsor. In terms of partners, I have, of course, Detour. They are always supportive of everything I do. The San Diego Jackie Robinson Y is being a great partner and opening their facility and providing support to make sure that not only do we have fun, we do it in a way that's as safe as possible, because we're very conscious of like the health restrictions.
Yes.
We'll have some things to help make it better for people. And then in terms of media, I have the San Diego Monitor News, I have Black San Diego Magazine.
Nice.
We're still working on some other ones. And then, I'm getting support from 133 Art.
Yay,
Yes.
Jason Reed.
Yes.
Shout out to the homie.
Jason and his wife are awesome. And Ronaldo Anderson and the Black Speculative Arts Movement are coming through. Recently, Ronaldo appointed me the San Diego coordinator for Black Speculative Arts Movement, and I'll be introducing that to the public at the AfroCon.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, there's going to be, I'm really excited from like the standpoint of yay, because I like going to cons, but then I'm also excited to be able to share an experience with people that, I've taken the time to build, because that's the fun part. Like, okay, let's put a little bit of this here and add some of that. And there's going to be people who have kids. So let's make sure we have lots of children's activities. Oh, and then people will get hungry, because people were very hungry at the first one. So we have more food this year. We have enough food this year that you could have just called it a food fair.
Nice.
Okay.
So it's a lot. And then, we're at the Y, so we could not ignore health and wellness and fitness. So there'll be some fitness activities. I have someone who's going to be teaching coding to kids, and I guess some adults can sneak in if they want. I have, there'll be some art opportunities and, industry talks. But then, I'm an Afrofuturist. All of this stuff is great and fun. But for me, if people don't at least learn one or two things that lead them to have a shift in their attitude, behavior, and choices so they can have a better future,
Yes.
I feel like I have failed, because ultimately that's what I want.
Yes, absolutely. Attitude, behavior, choices, ABCs, y'all. ABCs.
Yes. Yes.
So, we talked a little bit about AfroCon, which, used to be Afrofuturism Lounge. How do you, what makes it different from other conventions? And, well, I think you answered this a little bit, but how have you pivoted during the pandemic in the way you approach, organizing the event and everything?
So 2 parts. One, in terms of how we're different, I think that, if you look at all the cons, there's like a similarity in terms of content, but there's also a difference in terms of the energy, the spirit, and perhaps the values of the people that are organizing. I don't know if you've gone to BlurredCon.
Yep.
It has an entirely different energy.
Yep.
Yes.
Not being critical of the energy, it's just a different energy. And I think really, a lot of what comes through in AfroCon is my values. And so in some ways, a lot of times people don't get to know me because I'm moving. I'm not really sitting down, breaking down who I am. But what you will know me by the fruits of my labor.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I can definitely relate to that one for sure. Yep.
So, of course, being a con organizer, a lot of people don't understand. If you're not a con organizer or an event planner, people don't understand the challenges in being a con organizer and putting on events. What are those challenges that people need to be aware of, that being a con organizer that you have to deal with and go through? And
what has been your experience in getting community support of your event?
So you know what? It's funny you say that. Maybe the fourth time is a charm, but I feel like this year, people who have kind of like stood by the wayside, kind of like, oh, that's cute, are now actually stepping up, asking like, how can we partner with you? How can we support you? And are offering, resources and talents. Because, the thing is, you want, time, talent, and treasure, right? And I'm seeing those things manifest. At the same time, people don't understand that all these things that look really simple and easy, they require coordination. They require resources in order to make them happen. And you always get people who like want to come through it like, the day before the event and want to put an ad on a book or something. It's like, man, I went to the printer 2 weeks ago. What are you talking about? And, people, tend to think that they generate a lot of money. I imagine, if I scale up to San Diego Comic-Con size, I'll generate a lot of money. But this is a mom and pop operation. This is, real in the hood, like, let's get it together and let's just have a good time and bring some resources to the people in our community. A big part is just, do what you say you're going to do, understand the effort, and then also be respectful of everybody. You always have people who want to be important, and everybody is important. Every single person is important, and I think if we get to a place where we understand that everybody's important, maybe we'll treat each other with much more love and respect.
Say that for the people in the front, middle, and back. Yes, it is absolutely teamwork makes the dream work. And if anybody understands, I know Dana understands because she's an event planner. And even just putting together the podcast and keeping this running, like some people are like, well, isn't it free?
Yeah, well, I have one more thing. And this is a plea, because my greatest challenge in terms of putting together panels and everything is getting women at the table, because there are a lot of women who are creating content who aren't necessarily, you've got the content creators who don't want to speak in public. And then you've got the ones who are like so in demand because they're unicorns that they just don't have time. And it's like, how do we support each other, and how do we make sure that we're getting the message out? I'm going to have all my fancy girls there that weekend, and I'm still scrambling to get women at the table so they can see that that's a space for them too. Excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. Being behind the scenes on some of the virtual stuff and being involved in, panels that other creators are organizing. There's always a demand for more female creators. And so I think it's great, the work that you're doing to encourage more females to kind of claim their power earlier on and, be courageous enough to start their journey earlier, so that they can be at the tables that we are now creating.
Yeah, and feel comfortable exercising our voice. The world tells women to be quiet. And the thing about that is that's the message we get growing up. And then all of a sudden we're expected to compete in a world where all the people in charge are loud and boisterous and don't understand why we're so quiet. And, if we really have something to say, why didn't we just say it?
Right. So true. So true. I see this all the time at work, and this is for women, like even of color and not of color, right? Like this is like women across the board.
Yep.
And
and claim ourselves. I was talking to a woman the other day, and I was telling her that I'm learning to embrace my excellence and accept the fact that I am amazing. And she said, oh, don't say you're amazing. Say you do amazing things. It's much more palatable to people. And I'm like, I appreciate the feedback, but I don't think there's anything wrong with me considering myself amazing. Am I only supposed to believe it when other people say it?
Yes. You are amazing.
So we gotta, we gotta get through that. I mean, and we have to teach girls that it's okay to be confident.
Yeah. That's definitely true. I know I could have used that more when I was younger.
Yes.
You and me both.
Well, the biggest part is breaking that stigma that if a guy who is speaking up is very confident, but a woman who speaks with equal amount is a lot of times given being called the B word,
Oh
or
yeah.
they're considered, aggressive and
Mhm.
things like that. And we have to break that stigma that why is it okay for a male to come across that way versus a woman or a young lady to have that same thing? She's got an attitude. If she's black, black women are often called, they're given this aggressive and loud aspect when they speak their minds and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that women have to get on those boards and those areas of change to change the biases, because it's beautiful that a lot of companies are starting to change and do a lot of stuff within diversity and inclusion to better educate and develop their employees. But there's still a lot of work to do, because I know, as LaWana knows, my company is very involved with diversity and inclusion and making changes. But for every one or two companies like mine that does that, you have 10 to 20 that still thinks everything is just fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it takes someone like yourself that is changing it on the community level, and a lot of people don't understand how impactful it is to make those changes on a community level, because you are impacting, like you said, the future employers, and future employees, the future CEOs and things like that. But then you're also helping to break those chains of being told the stuff that was being told by grandma that passed on to mom. You're breaking it off to the next generation, that you're not having that generational curse continue.
Yeah, like the whole we got to work twice as hard and twice as long and burn ourselves out. It doesn't benefit us. It benefits the people who are the beneficiary of that extraordinary, unreasonable, and unrealistic effort.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have all kinds of negative health outcomes because we've been doing the most in order to get the least.
Yes.
Who do we really blame? So, I mean, yeah. And then I had a mentor tell me once, we often have not because we ask not. In the Miseducation of Negro, Carter G. Woodson said that the Negro not finding a back door will often walk around to the back of the building and cut a back door in order to enter, because they are that convinced that that's the only way in. And I'm paraphrasing for people who know the exact quote. We have to understand that we're worthy, we deserve, and we have to ask, and we have to demand, and we have to create those expectations and get rid of those expectations that, because we're marginalized people of color or women, we got to do the most in order to get the same thing everybody else has.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm internalizing that right now.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get on the soapbox, but yeah, I feel
no, that's something that needs to be said. And it's fascinating because one of the trainings that we had at work, they talked about for our women, they were telling for our employee resource group for women within our company, that a Caucasian or white male, when they're pursuing a role, they would usually have 30 to 50% of the qualifications. But when women apply, they have to make sure every single box is checked off, or they don't even, most of the time they do have it and they don't even attempt it because they feel like they don't have enough experience along with the check boxes. So it's like we're doing 3 times the amount of effort to to acknowledge both mentally and within ourselves that we are worthy enough to apply for those positions.
And when you get offered a job, it never hurts to ask for more money, because by the
Mhm.
time they've gone through the process of getting to the point where they have decided that you are the person they want to hire, it's not because they think they can get you cheap.
Mhm.
And
We'll
be
say that for
aware
the
of
girls,
things,
ladies in the back.
and be aware of the things that are not financial that you can ask for, like vacation time or resources or training, because it's a game, and if you don't go to the table and play the game, you just get what you get.
Mhm.
Yes.
Because I learned that from a previous leader myself, that when I applied for my current role, I let them know there's a training I do every year and it costs X amount. And if I accept this role, will y'all cover me to go to this training as part of me accepting this role? And they agreed to it. And since then, every year they allow me to go to that training. And it's,
Mhm.
a lot of people don't realize, but that particular leader was like, they said that told me it's like the old saying, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't say
Yes.
anything, they're not going to do it. So this company supports development and education. So ask for that training. Don't wait and be, I'm not going to say it because they're not going to, no, say it.
Yep.
If they say no, negotiate with something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
at that time,
exactly.
like he said, until you sign off on your first, when your first day of work is, you have, they're like, plenty of executives ask for stock options and everything else.
Yep.
You can't ask for it too.
Yep.
Wow.
That's a great point.
Hmm. Well, of course, we're getting at the top of the hour, Moana. Of
Yep.
course, time goes by fast, even when there's technical issues and all. We had a little conversations going in the chat, and for those that are that follow the podcast, and as you've seen in the banner below, we do a giveaway at the end of the show for you engaging with the podcast. So let us
Wow.
pull up the giveaway so we can see who our lucky winner is engaging in our on our podcast today.
Yeah. Let me see. A StreamYard's giving me
Okay.
a button.
Yeah. Okay. So as everybody would know, it wasn't just me. StreamYard was giving me a time to get in today.
Yes.
I don't know if they're doing
Okay.
updates or whatever.
Alrighty. So we're gonna do this real quick. Hey.
All right, let's see who our lucky winner is.
Bar.
Barb
Congratulations
Lensley
to
King.
Bar.
Congratulations. Send
Awesome
us a
sauce.
message. Actually, we'll see you next week, so we
Yeah.
can actually hand you your package, your winner. So congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you for engaging and watching today's show. Now, of course, LaWana, tell everyone how they can continue to follow you and, of course, be able to attend AfroCon this year.
So you can follow me. Probably the easiest one is at Furiali on Instagram, LaWana.Richmond on Facebook, and Afrofuturism Lounge on Instagram as well. In order to register, if you go to Afrofuturismlounge.com, I have buttons for vendors, speakers, presenters, sponsors, and most importantly for attendees, because without attendees, nothing else works. For people who are not comfortable or not physically able to be there in person, we will have a virtual segment as well. And I'll be sending the details to everyone who registers, so that way people have all options available to them up to the last possible minute.
Cool.
There you go.
Very cool.
Awesome. And we know a lot of people have concerns with the Delta variant and everything. So that is very encouraging for those when they do hear cons that are offering that virtual option, so they don't miss out. Just because we know some cons are just going to be strictly in person, and you either attend it or you don't, and a lot of people being stuck at home or definitely being safe feel like they're being left out, but at the same time they don't want to take the chance either. So this is great. So everyone, as you see right below, definitely go to afrofuturismlounge.com so you can get both, whether your virtual registration or your in-person registration. If you're going to be attending in person, it will be Labor Day weekend. So if you're on the West Coast, definitely check it out, because we know a lot of people on the East Coast, they tend to attend a big giant con called Dragon Con over here. I'm one of those staff members. So if you're on the West Coast, definitely check out Afrofuturism Con, and especially if you can't attend any of the cons that's happening that weekend, definitely get your tickets so you can attend virtually, so you can definitely take in some of that content that they're providing and everything. So LaWana, thank you so much for being part of our show. Thank you for introducing our audience to AfroCon and all the magnificent things, just the tip of the iceberg that you're doing for the community.
Well, thank you for having me. I've been looking
you're
forward.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, enjoy your new ride.
Yes.
All right.
So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely be ready to tune back in at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for our next guest, the Nakia Bursey, the Yellow Power Rangers from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Power Rangers, their series, the Turbo. Turbo Power also. So definitely tune in. If you are a long-term Power Ranger fan, you definitely know her. You'll definitely be excited. If you know someone who's a Power Ranger fan, have them tune right on in so they can hear about her, all the things that she's doing within the community, and all the stuff that's upcoming. So we definitely look forward to seeing y'all in 30 minutes.
All
right,
guys.
All right,
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves a republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language was banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe Bay. As a part of their ongoing war with Asia, used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if you put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course, versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe Bay. As a part of their ongoing war with Asia, used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. Network out for all the locals, school will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf, if we won't tell it we will. We will.